welcome to another tutorial video. This one sort of goes alongside the new Tonic craft kit, which is kit number 62, which I think is called Wildflower Florals. The tutorial is going to be on how to emboss your die into your cardstock and use either the embossed or debossed side and apply some Nuvo mousse to it. So that's what the tutorial is going to be, but I wanted to just quickly run through the craft kit so you've got a little indication of what you would be getting in this month's craft kit. You're going to get a shimmer powder, a Nuvo drop, a spool of ribbon, Nuvo Embellishment Mousse, which is what we're going to be using in this video. Then you've also got 5 different cardstocks, and you're actually getting 2 sheets of each of them in this month's kit. So you've got 5 different colours. You're going to get a full pack of 5x7 ivory card blanks and envelopes, which has 10 cards and 10 envelopes, and they're really high quality 300 GSM cardstock. Then you're also getting the stamps that go along with some of the dies in the set, and you've also got the dies in here, which I've put onto magnetic sheets. And not only are you getting an A5 die set, you're also getting an extra little set of dies for free. So this is your free gift that's in here, and this one says, "If blank were flowers, I'd pick you," and you can substitute the blank for friends, sisters and mothers. So it works really nicely for Mother's Day, for friends, or for your sisters as well. And then you've got this beautiful floral panel here that has a separate section in the centre, and you also have this separate cutting edge as well, which doesn't actually fit inside here because it's such a sort of like accurate edge that it won't actually fit in that little space that's left there. But you can obviously use it with either of those dies, but the way they've had to manufacture it to get it to be perfectly up to the edge of things, they've actually had to put it on a separate sheet, which I think is why you get these extra dies as your freebie as well. So that's everything that's included in this month's craft kit, and if you want a full in-depth look at that, there will be my full unboxing video with I'm not sure how many cards I've made, maybe 8 different samples to show you, and a couple of extra backgrounds, one of which we're going to be making in this tutorial video. But for this video, I want this background piece here, which you can see why on the card it has this random edge, because it is supposed to join into this, but you can use it without joining it into the floral part, because I think this looks like a kind of like torn edge or a hole in something, and you're looking through and you can see this beautiful pattern. I think that's what it looks like to me. So I've really enjoyed just using this one by itself, but you're supposed to be able to use it in conjunction with this, and you can use that outside edge with either of the two of them to layer up or make an aperture or whatever you want to do really. So loads of versatility in the kit. So I'll just move all of this out of the way and I'll come back to start the tutorial. I forgot to say you are also getting one of Nuvo's light mist spray bottles in the kit as well. I totally forgot to say that. I put it next to me and then forgot to say it. So you're also getting that in this month's kit too, which kind of rounds out all of your lovely Nuvo elements and allows you to actually use that with your shimmer powder or with your mousse as well if you want to. So let's get on with the actual tutorial for you. I'm not going to finish off this card because it is just really simple. I literally just stuck a strip of ribbon across it and used one of the die cuts. I wanted to show how you could actually use that die cut without the "if mothers were flowers, I'd pick you," just using the word mothers, and then I've just used my Dymo labeler to do happy and day. So then it says Happy Mother's Day. You could do Happy Friends Day, Happy Sisters Day as well. Whatever you want to do with those extra little sentiments, it's really nice to be able to combine them. And if you had happy and day in larger dies from another different die set, you could also then just include the mothers or sisters or friends with that as well. You don't have to use a Dymo labeler either. You can make it more of a big focal element on your card too. But this is the idea that I wanted to share with you, because I know a lot of people struggle with getting debossing into a card panel, so I'm going to show you what I do. I will be using my half cut plates, which are, some of them are Tonic ones cut in half, some of them are the ones that came with my Platinum 6 and like the matte, but I will tell you which plates of Tonic to use, because I could use my A4 plates to show you, but it's a bit cumbersome on my desk because it would take up like the whole screen of the video, whereas if I use the half plates it's a little bit easier for me to show you how to do it. So we're going to start, I just want to double check which, yeah, I did use the textured side. So we're going to start by taking our die and bringing in our Tangerine machine. So I've got mine there, and then the plates we're going to be using are these plates. So if you are using your actual Tonic plates, this is the white plate, this is a Tonic plate, this will be your green plate, and this will be your green squishy mat. So it's really simple to kind of follow along with the Tonic plates, but I'm just using this for ease because they're smaller and I can actually get them into the screen, whereas if this was A4, that would be all you were seeing. So first of all, you want to put your cardstock onto your squishy mat. Then you want to take your die and place that on top wherever you want it to be. So I want to put it off to the side, so the pattern is just going to fall off the side slightly. So I'm going to put it like that. You can tape this into place if you want to. I think it probably works better if you're just really careful and you try not to move your sandwich as you're putting it through your machine, because we're embossing this, you can get a little embossed mark of where your tape is, unless you wanted to sort of tape it to your rubber mat and secure it into place that way. But I tend to just sort of wing it on this and it usually works out well. So we're going to put that like this. This is 300 GSM white card. Sometimes it cracks, but we are going to add mousse over the top of this. So if it does crack, the mousse kind of disguises it. And I don't mind that distressed kind of look. If you really don't like it, you could play around with the combinations of your plates. I think I saw Karen from Tonic do a version of it, and she changed around which plate she used. Instead of using the white plate, she might have used the orange plate and the pink plate or something together. So you can definitely play around with different plate combinations, but this is the way I tend to do it and it usually works for me. So if you wanted to know which way I do it, then this is the way. And then we're just going to run that through a machine. You'll probably hear some cracking, but that's normal. That is just the die pushing into the cardstock. And then we can reveal what it looks like. So I think this looks really cool just as it is. There are some pieces that are almost cracking, but I really like the look of that. And I think when we add the mousse over the top, we're going to disguise anything that looks a little bit uneven, but I really like how that's turned out. And actually, on my original, I did it more off to the corner rather than all over, so we're going to get a slightly different look as well anyway. So this one's got more of like the white space, and then this one has got more of the pattern, so you can definitely move your die around and change it as well. So that is that version. You could use the deboss side as well, so we're going to do the deboss side on a different colour of cardstock to show you that too. So I want the deboss side to be on my textured side of my cardstock, so I'm going to put the textured side down and like emboss this into it, because then I want the deboss which will be on the other side of the card. I think that makes sense. So whichever side is facing up of your cardstock is what side you're going to get the emboss on, because the card is going to be pushed up through the die. So that's going to be the embossed kind of side. So again, we're just going to place that on, and this is Craft Perfect. So you'll see the difference between 300 GSM card and about 216 GSM card as well. I can't remember if this one cracks as much. It might not crack as much. Whoa, that cracks more. I guess because it's a lighter weight card, it kind of moves around a little bit more. So, see, this looks a little bit worse on this side with the cracking, because the Craft Perfect cardstock kind of has a slightly different colour core, so you can kind of see all those cracks. But we're going to work on the debossed side, and we're actually going to do a Sue Wilson technique, which she calls grouting, where you actually take a medium and you scrape it across your card, and it falls into all of the areas that are debossed. So I quite like the debossed side because this is all raised up, and if you wanted to, you have that die that goes around the edge of this. I know this is backwards, so you might have to be working on the embossed side of the card to be able to do this, unless you don't mind using the reverse side of a die cut. But you could take another panel and die cut that edge piece. If you were messy with your mousse and you didn't like how it was looking, you could die cut another one and stick it over the top with that random pattern around the edge as well. Or you could just use this as a patterned panel and put a circle or an oval or a square or a rectangle over the top of it, and just have it as a pattern behind an aperture as well. So those are 2 pieces that we're going to work on. And we're going to be using the mousse that comes in the kit. Now obviously when you're getting your kit, this is going to be a brand new pot of mousse, and the colour is actually Lilac Lavender, which I don't think this is the original lilac colour. I think maybe this came out in the Sweet Sorbet colour trend, unless it is the original colour. I can't 100% remember because there was an original purple colour, but I have a feeling that was called like peony or something. But anyway, this one has been sitting in my craft room for a couple of years, and so it has got a little bit dry. So instead of using the fresh one, I thought I would show you how you can kind of like revitalise an older one. Obviously, if you're just buying the kit, you're going to be getting a fresh one, and you can definitely do this technique with a fresh one. It'll be much simpler for you. But if you do have some in your stash and you want to try this technique and use them, but yours have gone a little bit crumbly like this as well, I thought I would show you exactly how you can sort of like rejuvenate them and still use them for all of your different projects too. So we're going to scoop some of this out, and you could just use, I would say a metal palette knife is good for this because they're sort of more sturdier. This hasn't gone too far, this one. This is only like a tiny bit crumbly. You can get them when they've gone like far too dry. Sometimes they're too far gone to rescue because they kind of turn out really chunky when you try and sort of rejuvenate them like this. However, that could be a really cool mixed media technique if you have got one that's gone really far and like has really come away from the edges and got massive cracks in it and stuff. Rejuvenate it and then use it on a mixed media canvas that you might paint over the top of or something. You can still use them. So if yours does look like it's pretty much dead, still try and use it because there are ways of using it still. And you could even just like rejuvenate a bit and use it to splat on stuff as well. But this one isn't too far gone because this is probably only a couple of years old if it is from the Sweet Sorbet colour trend. But I just wanted to show you how a crumblier mousse can be saved to be used for this. If you were going to like rejuvenate the entire pot, definitely use distilled water because you don't want any bacteria growing in your pot. But because we're just going to use this and put it straight onto our card and we're not going to be sort of keeping it in a pot to use later on years down the line, we can just use normal water. And you can definitely use your spray bottle from the kit as well. I just always have this one to hand, but you can definitely use your Nuvo one. Mine is up there, but I'm just too lazy to get it. So I'm going to do like 2 or 3 sprays of water onto that, and then you're literally just going to mix it around, kind of like if you were making cement to build a brick wall or something. Just sort of like smushing it all around, getting it into a nice creamy consistency. And you can see how this one is pretty easy to kind of rejuvenate, whereas some of the ones that are sort of too far gone will look really sort of clumpy and chunky at this kind of stage, or it might take you a long time to get it to look like this, but you can definitely still use them for like mixed media sort of purposes and stuff. So I think this is a pretty decent kind of consistency. So we're going to go with the sort of grouting technique first, and if we scoop a lot of this up. The good thing about Nuvo Mousse as well, it's water-based, so we can easily just clean this off our mat. It's not like we've got to rush and use it like it was an old-style glimmer paste or anything. For the grouting technique, I do like to use the media spatulas from Tonic. They're really great for sort of like dragging over small areas. So I'm going to scoop up a little bit of mousse and just scrape it over our background, and you can see how it's filling in all of the different gaps. And actually this technique can be done with all of the different mousses that Tonic do. Crackle mousse looks fantastic because it cracks in these tiny little areas. The original mousse that I tended to do this kind of technique with was the expanding mousse, and you can do it with die cuts as well. So if you didn't want to do this debossed or embossed die kind of idea, you could have just cut this die, stuck it onto the cardstock, and then scraped this through. And if you use expanding mousse, you can scrape it through, heat it, it will puff up, and then if you don't like the messy look of it, you can put another die cut over the top and hide all of the mess, but you get that puffed up mousse coming up between all of the patterns. I've done that a few times in sped up videos, and I showed it on at least one sample, possibly 2, in my up close video about Nuvo expanding mousse. So if you've never watched that before, just sort of type into YouTube CRaFTi Potential Nuvo expanding mousse and you should find any of the videos that I've done where I've used that mousse as well. But it's a really fun technique to kind of do, and don't just think you have to do it with dyes. I just wanted to do this technique in conjunction with this kit, and we just so happen to have a dye like this, but embossing folders. That is the original way that Sue Wilson would do this grouting technique. She'd take the deboss side of an embossing folder and take a medium and scrape it over the top. Also, you don't have to just leave it like this. You can take some glitter and sprinkle it in as well, and fill some of the areas with a beautiful bit of sparkle. You could even do sort of more like my Nuvo encrusted technique that I like to do, where I will even squish gems into the mousse as well, and then when it dries they'll sort of hold it in place. You could do sequins, you could do confetti, anything you want to kind of amplify this kind of idea. But the idea of some of these tutorial videos that are showing you more of a technique is to just give you inspiration, basically, to go and pull out some of your products. I know a few of you commented on a couple of the tutorials where I had used a lot of Nuvo drops, and you said that you were going to go and play with your Nuvo drops now because you had an extra idea of how to use them. So hopefully this will kind of spur you on to dig out some of your mousses, and don't be worried that they've gone a little bit dry, because you really can get them back to usable kind of consistencies. So that is the sort of grouting idea, using the debossed side of the sort of embossing your dye kind of idea, which is the more, I suppose, the more kind of like different technique that you might not have seen before. This one I actually pretty much covered all of the detail, but on the original one that I had done, I've still got some of the dark showing through, so you can vary it depending. This looks really Christmassy to me now. It didn't seem Christmassy before, but I'm seeing snowflakes in there now. But yeah, you can kind of vary how much mousse you put on there. I quite like this as well, where it's just kind of gone on the edges. So you could, the next one that we're going to do, we are just going to apply the mousse to the top of it. So you could have just done that as well, just applied the mousse to the top of it, and you would have got this sort of like more subtle kind of look to it as well. So whatever kind of way you want to use this, it's a great sort of technique to try, and I'll come back and show you the splattering in a second when we've done the other one as well. So for this one, this is basically just like the normal way that you would use a Nuvo mousse, the kind of way that they're sort of intended to be used, to kind of pick out embossed sort of detail or raised detail on something. So we're literally just going to use our finger to go over the top of this. But if you don't like getting your fingers messy, one of your Nuvo ink blending tools with the foams on top would work perfectly. I've got a crusty one here, so I'm wondering if I could actually just show you with this crusty one, to show that you can just like keep some of these sponges for your mixed media kind of projects, and we'll see how that kind of works. So I'm just sort of loading up the surface of this. It was an orangey colour to begin with, so we're loading up the surface with a bit of this purple, and then we can actually just brush over the top of this if we want to. So maybe we'll do half and half. We'll do this top half, showing you how you can use it on a sponge if you don't want to get your fingers messy. I have gone a little bit over the edges here, but again, if you didn't like that, you've got that dye that can go with it, and you can put another one over the top to hide that. So that is applying it with the ink blending tool, and you really do just get it on the top areas where you kind of want it, and then using your finger, I kind of go in like a swirly sort of motion. And I mean, this way you can vary the intensity of the colour. So some areas you can go really light, some areas you can go really heavy as well. And you can kind of play with all of the different depths of colour and stuff with it. Oh my gosh, I'm making a right mess here. I keep going into that puddle. Okay. But yeah, it's a really lovely way of just using your mousse like this to pick out the detail, and actually it doesn't look too different from using your finger to using the ink blending tool as well. So if you don't like getting mess on your fingers, then the ink blending tool is fantastic. You do just get more around the edges, but that looks really lovely as well. We could actually go further with that and completely apply it to the edges, because don't forget, you can just use your Nuvo mousse to create pearlescent card as well. You don't have to use it for some kind of technique. You can literally just put it onto cardstock and turn your card into pearlescent cardstock as well. And actually, I was just thinking, while I've got a messy finger and we've got this side here, you can definitely put this on the debossed side in this kind of gentler fashion, like I was kind of sort of pointing out earlier, or you could also grout onto the white card as well. I just thought for a demo it would be quite nice to show it onto the dark purple, but you can also definitely just pick out the debossing detail as well, whatever kind of idea you want to do this with. And if you have excess left over like this, you can colour this with different mediums as well to change the colour of it to use on further projects and stuff. In the kit we get a green shimmer powder, we get the Falling Leaves shimmer powder, so I'm predicting if we mix purple and green we're probably going to get some kind of like grey muddy colour, but that might be quite nice. So I'm going to do the experiment for you and we'll see what we get, because some of you might be like too afraid to waste some of your products giving it a go. So I'm going to see what it looks like, because I didn't actually mix the two colours on any of my cards because I was worried that it was going to go a messy colour. But as I've got excess out here, I'm going to try it. So I'm just going to get my Falling Leaves. Okay, so I've got my shimmer powder, but don't forget you can do this with any colour. I'm just sticking to the kit to show you stuff here, so I'm going to use the Falling Leaves colour. But if you have any of the purples, if you have maybe Catherine Wheel, which is a red, you could turn this into more of a pinky reddy purple. Maybe if you have the, I think it's called Meteorite Shower, which is like a really deep dark, almost black with some blue kind of elements in it, that would work really nicely with this purple as well. Yellow wouldn't be as good because purple and yellow are complementary colours, which is why I think we're going to get some kind of murky sort of colour when we put green in with this, especially a yellowy green as well. But you could definitely put blue in there, you could go with your pinks into there as well. You can really change up the colour of this, and if you went lighter with the water, sort of reactivating a slightly older mousse, you could have just added in a couple of drops of one of your aqua flows as well, as part of the moisture to kind of rejuvenate it, and then you would have got a different colour too. So we're going to risk it and we're going to go with the Falling Leaves and see what happens. So let's just put a little bit in to begin with and see what colour this turns out. It doesn't even look like it's changing it much. It might just make it more of like a muted purple actually. Okay, that doesn't look like it did much, so we'll go heavier. Oh, we are getting a little bit of a green kind of tinge. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, and obviously I'm out of shot, so I'm going to make more mess by moving this over. It is going a little bit of a murky kind of colour now, but not too bad of a murky actually. What's that that colour where they mixed two words together? I think maybe it's like Lilac or something. It's kind of like a grey purple. It's quite pretty actually. I'm not sure you can really tell. If I spread some out there. Okay, let's go original purple over here. And then that is the one with a lesser amount. You can kind of see it's just sort of toned it down a little bit. Let's go really heavy with the green and see what happens. So that is quite a big puddle of green in there now. Let's see what happens. Maybe we will be able to turn it an actual green colour. I wasn't sure that would work, but maybe it will. Maybe we'll just get like a really muted kind of green tone. That's really nice. Why did I not think of trying this? See, I was too scared to try it, but actually that looks grey on the camera. I can see green from this angle. Oh, that is really nice colour actually. It's like a mossy kind of green. That's really not picking it up on the camera. That just looks like cement or something on the camera, but it is actually slightly more green than you're seeing there. Okay, let's go really heavy-handed with the shimmer powder, see if that makes a difference. Okay, that is a lot of green now. And we'll see what happens. You can see that's more green on the camera now, I think. So I really was not expecting that you could actually mix the purple and the green together and get a nice colour out, but you can. I really like that. That is really cool. There we go. You can actually turn your purple mousse green with your shimmer powder. So that's a really cool experiment. I'm very glad I tried that now. That's really nice. There we go. So not only did I give you a tutorial of how to grout a debossed sort of impression, how to use your mousse on top of an embossed impression, how to kind of rejuvenate your mousse if it's a couple of years old and you haven't used it in a while, and apparently how to turn your purple mousse green with your shimmer powder as well. That's really cool. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial video. And don't forget, if you want a more in-depth look at the kit and a look at some of the samples that I've created with all of the elements from the kit as well, do check out my kit unboxing video. And if you're interested in getting hold of the kit, I will leave the affiliate link below in the description, and also my blog post as well if you want to get hold of your kit. You can just buy a one-off kit, you can buy monthly subscriptions, so it'll just renew at the monthly rate every month, or you can also buy quarterly subscriptions as well, which work really nicely as presents, because you know, it gives somebody a present over a few months, which is nice. And I think you can cancel or postpone at any time as well if you don't like the look of one of the kits as well. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial video. Hopefully it gave you a few ideas. Do let me know if you've tried any of these ideas that I've shown you before, or whether you try them now after you've seen the video. And yeah, I really hope you have fun playing with your Nuvo Embellishment Mousse. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video. Bye!